It's Thursday, July 3rd, 2008.
I'm Hollywood.
I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Jason Howell.
Welcome to Buzz Out Loud, CNET's podcast of indeterminate length. That's episode 759. And look out, because the whole world is about to know every single video you ever watched on YouTube.
I'll start. Ace Detect. I did watch some Stargate Atlantis and SG-1 on YouTube. I think that's pretty much the only major, like maybe some Monty Python, a little Saturday Night Live clip, Comedy Central every once in a while.
I've only ever watched the dog on the skateboard thing.
I'd actually like to have this so I can find out what I did watch.
It would be nice to have a personal history, yeah. But maybe I wouldn't want like court reporters wading through it.
Why, yes.
So here's the news. The federal court for the Southern District of New York has ordered Google to turn over to Viacom massive amounts of user data, including every YouTube username, the associated IP address, and the videos that the user has watched on YouTube.
That sounds safe.
Of course, part of the big Viacom lawsuit against Google in the form of YouTube.
Viacom is trying to prove that piracy was more popular than non-pirated video as part of their case. That's not their entire case, but they want to use that as a support to their case that YouTube was a haven of piracy and that they owe damages to Viacom, which we should, I don't know, should we disclose that the major stockholder of CBS is the same as major stockholder of Viacom? Which is Sumner Redstone's National Amusements.
Well, Viacom and CBS used to be, like brothers.
Yeah, they used to be.
They were together.
Yeah.
But then they were split apart.
They have the same parent company. They're not the same.
I don't know. We're going to have to, we need a new disclosures policy sheet.
Anyway, so I just disclosed it anyway. Viacom's trying to get a bunch of money out of YouTube. And as part of that, the judge said, okay, you can have all of this data.
Yeah.
Actually, Viacom doesn't get the data. Viacom is prevented from viewing the data themselves. Only court-ordered and approved experts and consultants can view the data.
Yeah.
But the EFF is saying this data shouldn't even be in the courtroom at all.
Yeah, the EFF has already reacted, calling the order a violation of the Video Privacy Protection Act that, quote, threatens to expose deeply private information. And apparently that act, so that was the act that was passed after a newspaper disclosed Robert Bork's video rental
history.
Yeah. Congress recognized that, according to the EFF, your selection of videos to watch is deeply personal and deserves the strongest protection. And what they say is that it doesn't. The EFF is claiming it doesn't matter who gets to view this information. That if it is personally identifiable information, then according to the VPPA, it may not be ordered to be turned over in a civil proceeding except upon showing of compelling need for the information that cannot be accommodated by any other means if the consumer is given reasonable notice by the person seeking the disclosure of the court proceeding relevant to the issuance of the court order, blah, 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 and if the consumer is afforded the opportunity to appear and contest the claim of the person seeking the disclosure. So according to the EFF, and the judge really didn't address any of that. The court order made no finding that Viacom could not be accommodated by any other means, nor were YouTube users, obviously, provided with notice and opportunity to contest the claim.
It wasn't all good news for Viacom, though. The judge denied Viacom's request that Google turn over YouTube's source code, and the judge even said that could, quote, cause catastrophic competitive harm to Google by sharing them with others who might create their own programs without making the same investment. So,
right. Although
bad luck, Viacom.
It's kind of, yeah, totally. Sorry, guys.
Good try.
It's interesting because TechCrunch points out that the privacy implications of turning over all this user data are staggering, whereas they say YouTube source code is about as valuable as the hard drive it would be delivered on, since the core Flash technology is owned by Adobe, and there are already countless YouTube clones out there, most of which offer higher quality video. Like, it's not like the source code is so super secret, since they're a video sharing site. I mean, if anything, the judge sort of picked the wrong thing. And really, I mean, I think what's most concerning is that in issuing this ruling, the judge basically said that any privacy concerns are merely speculative.
Well,
it is not speculative in any way to be concerned that IP addresses and video histories may expose private information about users.
It says in this, a Wired threat level article that the judge turned Google's own defense of its data retention policies, that IP addresses of computers aren't personally revealing in and of themselves, against it.
Right.
To justify the lockdown. So that's kind of interesting.
Even though what it said is that in most cases, like the court focused on these statements made by Google on its blog, and the statement was the reality that in most cases, an IP address without additional information cannot then result in identifying the user. Someone. But what the EFF said and what TechCrunch said is that even if one person can be identified by their username. Maybe their username was Molly Wood.
Right.
If even one person in that data set can be identified by their username, then that is a violation of this Video Protection Privacy Act. What's unbelievable, really, is that on the one hand, we're talking about passing strong laws to protect users' privacy on the web, and we're really concerned about this, and, there's targeted advertising concerns. And then on the other hand, a judge can just unilaterally order this. Really, this is an unbelievable number of users we're talking about. Sweeping order requiring disclosure of personal information without having to justify it in any way, and just with the complete dismissal of any privacy concerns. Like, no. Like, either he fundamentally misunderstands everything about the web and the way that users are identified on the web, or just doesn't give a crap. I'm not sure.
The only hope for you, I suppose, is that the court's protective order stipulates that the data turned over to Viacom must be used for the sole purpose of proving Viacom's claim against Google that YouTube is a hotbed of pirated video content, according to the news.com article. And anyone who violates that stipulation could be held in contempt of court and be disbarred. So it's some stiff protections against misusing it, I suppose.
I guess so, but it doesn't necessarily protect it from being inadvertently disclosed, which is, it shouldn't. This information shouldn't be in transit, even.
Meanwhile, that's only half the country that even bothers to use YouTube, because only half of them have broadband. You're not going to watch a whole lot of YouTube on dial-up.
Oh no, frame by frame. I think
they try, and then they email us at CNET TV sometimes, like, this site is totally not accessible to me on dial-up.
It's not.
And you go, yep.
Video. It's not about our site at that point.
No,
it's
they
about
mean CNET
video.
TV.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's sort of, you want to just say, like, sorry, video just isn't accessible over dial-up. And
can't be done.
No.
Well, I guess it could be done,
but you're not going to want to watch it.
Yeah. Well, nobody. Remember those real
video.
tiny reel videos back in the days of dial-up? Yeah.
Oh, cute.
The postage stamp of video that you used to get.
Video nubbins.
They just sounded horrible.
Anyway, a Pew Internet and American Life Project study released on Wednesday found that an estimated 10% of Americans are surfing the net via dial-up connections, and a lot of those people apparently see no compelling reason to change. The report also indicates a bunch of other numbers, including, I think it was a 50-some% broadband penetration in the United States. And
55.
Yeah, the big upshot of this whole report was that people have access to broadband in all but what? 13% of the country?
Well, I don't know about percent of the country, but only 14% of the users, of the dial-up users, said that they were stuck with it. Like, only 14% of the dial-up users are dial-up users because they don't have an option.
So
everybody else,
the rest of the dial-up users just didn't see the need to pay extra for broadband.
Now that's my parents right there.
Yeah, 35% said that they're still on dial-up because broadband prices are too high, while another 19% say nothing would persuade them to upgrade, and then the remainder have other reasons or do not know. Like, some of them are just flat out like, it's enough for me, and it is, really.
This gives the lie
for some people.
This gives the lie to the ISP argument that they need to have a tiered internet to do broadband penetration, because frankly, it's the content that compels people to upgrade to the broadband.
Yeah.
And if they're going to restrict the content, is that going to cause people to want to upgrade? No, it'd send them in the reverse. That's even less of a reason. If it's like, well, why should I go to broadband? I got to pay even more to get the Google Video tier.
Right.
So, forget it. I'm just going to stay. I think this shows that there still needs to be a better, compelling content argument to dial-up users to get them to switch in the United States.
Yeah, that's very true. They're not going to switch just because you want them to switch, unless, of course, you just keep raising prices or whatever. For the people who are on AOL dial-up, you kind of want to go out and tell them, like, that it's
the prices
like
aren't
DSL's
that
way cheaper, right? Like,
well, that's the thing. It's not like broadband prices are so expensive.
I think in some cases that's an education thing.
If they're saying like it's too expensive to switch to broadband, then that means that they want it to be exactly the same price they're paying right now.
Yeah.
Maybe they're paying $10 a month.
You know what I notice also is it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing, because when I visit my parents and, I try and check my email, and it takes 10 minutes to check my email, and I talk to my parents and say, hey, why don't you get dial-up? You would actually use the internet more, but they don't see the reason to broadband, sorry. But they don't see the reason to.
Dial-up? They don't see the reason. That 9600 baud connection on the Unix shell that you have, Mom and Dad.
Exactly. Well, they have 56K, but it only ever connects at 32. Anyways, they don't see the reason to, because all they're used to is the dial-up and it being so slow that they're like, well, I don't want to use that anymore. But it's like, if you had it faster, you probably would, because it wouldn't be such a bear to use. You know?
Yeah, like it's totally chicken and egg in that case.
Really is.
It's like, well, none of that stuff works. Why would I want to just get more of it, but it doesn't work? It's like, no, but it will work.
But it'll be so much easier. Yeah. Well, interestingly, Vint Cerf, one of the internet's key inventors, said that he thinks a lot of those dial-up users would be interested if they had a better idea of what they're missing. Like, so it's a double education thing, right? Like, on the one hand, they don't know that they can get it for the same price.